Now that we've seen how to make an array from a string using the split method, let's look at another close connection between the two. We'll start by assigning the result of splitting on the empty string to an array. This is a variable I'll call a for simplicity. So if we do badger.split on the empty string, we get the characters. Now remember, we can access individual elements of a string like this. Actually, I'm not sure we did a literal one like this here, but we can do badger of 0. That's just the first character, of 1, and so on. Well, we can do the same thing here. So we can see that it's almost like strings are arrays of characters. And we can use the same bracket notation with an index to access individual elements. We also see that arrays, like strings, are 0 offset, so that the 0th element, a of 0, is actually the first element, and so on. Arrays are a much more general data type than strings, though. The elements don't have to be characters, they can be anything. So for example, we can have a string mixed with a number mixed with the result of a function call. What'll happen here? Aha, we got an error because soliloquy doesn't exist. What is A? It's the same thing it was before, so the assignment didn't happen. Let's define soliloquy. And now if we do up arrow, aha! Soliloquy.include, question mark, to be is true, and so now our array has this mix of types. It's got a string, a number, and a Boolean. Ruby arrays are very flexible in this way. In some languages, you can't do this sort of mixing of types, but in Ruby you can. And of course, we can still access elements as before. So a of, say, 2 here is the third element, which is true. One cool thing you can do with these indices in Ruby is that you can use negative indices. So for example, a of -2 counts from the end of the array. So counting from the end, we have -1, -2, which is 42. Note that this gives us a convenient way to find the last element in an array. Now, because arrays, like strings, respond to the length method, we could actually do it like this. A.length is 3, so we can do a of a.length minus 1. That's the last element. But we can also just do this, a of -1, like that. And in fact, this operation is common enough that there's a special method called last, just for doing it. Finally, it's worth noting that if we do something like this, a of a.length, this is out of range. In some languages, this gives an error, but in Ruby, it just gives nil.